Have you ever wondered why you feel the constant urge to respond, explain, or prove yourself? We live in a world of endless noise. Everyone talks, everyone shouts, but almost no one truly listens. Silence has become uncomfortable, even threatening. It exposes truths, reveals vulnerability, and offers no escape. Think for a moment. How often have you reacted impulsively and later regretted it? How many times has your need to take a stand left you feeling weaker, not stronger? This isn't accidental, it's conditioning. We were taught that speaking equals power, that silence means weakness. But that's a lie. Before we dive in, subscribe to Mind Clinic and join our community for powerful insights into personal and spiritual growth. Now, let's jump in. Nietzsche, one of history's most provocative thinkers, saw things differently. For him, real power lies not in constant reaction, but in restraint, in the ability to master yourself. Silence, when intentional, becomes a weapon, a shield. While the world drowns in noise, the true master waits, observes, and speaks only when necessary. And when they do, people listen. But this conversation isn't just about Nietzsche, it's about you. About the discomfort you feel sitting quietly with your own thoughts. About the way your need for validation may keep you trapped and manipulable. So before we go further, I challenge you, stay with this discomfort. Stay with this silence, because what comes next may be exactly what you need. Nietzsche's idea of the will to power isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. True strength is shown by the one who does not need to react. In today's fast, reactive world, we confuse constant response with strength. But in truth, the person who transcends that compulsion, the one who doesn't explain or defend at every turn, holds the real power. Reacting often means surrendering. It shows that others have access to your emotions, that they can provoke you. Silence, on the other hand, is not passive. It's a firm, present state of control. If you want power, learn to contain yourself. Observe chaos without letting it pull you in. While others waste energy on needless battles, you grow stronger in stillness. But why is silence so hard? Why are we so seduced by noise, even when it exhausts us? Because silence reveals. Without distractions, what you avoid inside yourself rises to the surface. Insecurities, fears, frustrations. Talking too much, staying busy, reacting all the time, they're all ways of numbing yourself. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." And what do we resist most? Facing our own emptiness. Nietzsche understood that modern humanity suffers not from too much pain, but from too much distraction. Silence shatters illusion. It forces you to face who you really are without the mask of words. True silence, conscious silence, demands courage. It's not passivity, it's resistance. It's rebellion against a world that says your worth lies in what you say, not in who you are. By breaking that cycle, silence hands you back your sovereignty. But here's the key: silence alone isn't enough. It must be focused and intentional. In the next part, you'll see how silence can become a tool, not for attack, but for influence and mastery. This is the power of strategic silence. What separates a silent fool from a silent master? Intention. The fool is silent from fear, the master from control. One harsh truth about power is that if you can't master your own silence, you can't master anything. Nietzsche never saw silence as escape. For him, silence was strength, a move of superiority, an affirmation of the will to power. The silence of the Übermensch, the overman, is not timid or insecure. It's calculated. He stays quiet, not out of weakness, but because he understands that those who talk too much cheapen themselves, and those who react too quickly expose their emotional vulnerabilities. In a confrontation, the one who speaks the most often loses. They reveal too much, justify too much. But silence, when used wisely, becomes a mirror. The other side begins to reveal themselves, filling the void with words, exposing their own weakness. Think of leaders who dominate a room without raising their voices, or people whose quiet presence makes you second-guess yourself. That's the power of strategic silence. It creates tension, and tension is where influence lives. You don't need endless arguments when you control the pace and rhythm of interaction, when you know when to speak and when to hold back. In social psychology, this is called nonverbal status communication. Those who feel powerful speak less, pause more, and weigh their words carefully because they understand their value. They don't try to convince, they make others doubt themselves. This isn't magic, it's skill, and Nietzsche grasped this intuitively. Silence isn't absence, it's amplified presence. But for this to work, you need a foundation, a silence that is full, not empty. And that comes from one thing: conscious solitude. Most people fear being alone, so they drown every moment with distractions, constant stimulation, company, noise, anything to avoid facing themselves. But Nietzsche saw solitude not as punishment, but as privilege. It's where the spirit strengthens and individuality matures. As he wrote, "He who cannot endure solitude does not love freedom." That's a cutting truth, because everyone claims to want freedom, but few are willing to develop the strength it requires. The strength to not depend on others' validation, to stand whole even without an audience. The silence born from chosen solitude isn't empty, it's transformative. In solitude, you begin to hear your own voice, your real needs, unresolved fears, hidden desires, all the things routine and society have buried. It's a laboratory for the true self to emerge, free of masks and expectations. Nietzsche believed that the superior spirit endures isolation because it doesn't break under it. It reveals itself, reconstructs, finds order in its own chaos. And this is where strategic silence gains its true weight. Not just staying quiet to look powerful, but being silent because you've already conquered within, because you no longer crave approval or reaction. This silence is no longer just a shield. It becomes part of your presence. But there's more. Silence born from conscious solitude doesn't just protect, it heals. It strips away the unnecessary, dissolves the trapped, exposes the hidden, and drains the noise. Eventually, this force reaches its peak, when silence becomes not just a refuge, but a language, a silent cry louder than any speech. In the next part, we'll explore how silence can become your most powerful message. If these words resonate with you, please subscribe to the channel and support me with your likes and comments. I will appreciate it. Let's continue. There are moments when silence isn't just the absence of sound. It becomes presence, filling the space, disarming egos, and stripping away masks. It imposes itself quietly, yet no argument can challenge it. Nietzsche understood this well. There's a destructive force in deliberate omission. A well-placed silence says, without words, "You are not worth my energy." This isn't arrogance. It's hierarchy. In a world desperate to be heard, those who stay silent rise above. They don't compete, they dominate. That's why strategic silence is one of the sharpest psychological weapons. In conflict, when someone stays calm and quiet, the other person often scrambles, poking and provoking, revealing their own lack of control. But beware, this is not cowardly silence. It's the power of knowing you could destroy, but choosing not to because you've already won. Silence also amplifies. One carefully placed word after a long pause hits harder than any speech. Nietzsche said words are just symbols, but silence stands for what's beyond symbols, beyond justification. And when silence becomes not just a tactic, but part of who you are, you embody true power. Here lies Nietzsche's idea of strength, not the loud or reactive, but the quiet presence that simply is. True power doesn't seek approval or rush to explain. When silence becomes your natural state, people listen differently. They sense your presence without you needing to speak. But understand, this path is lonely. It demands you resist ego, validation, and the urge to react. Most people can't. They talk and defend, trying to prove a worth they haven't yet found inside. Nietzsche knew, those who must explain everything have already lost. True power is quiet because it's already complete. When you reach this point, you act with intention, not impulse. You speak less, but your words shift the room. You no longer chase attention because real messages don't need to chase an audience. So ask yourself, will you keep drowning in the noise? Or will you master silence as your weapon? Will you keep handing over your power to anyone who provokes you? Or will you reclaim your mind? If this challenged you, comment below. I choose silence. Those who understand will know. For the rest, it doesn't matter. And if you're ready for the next step, don't stop here. Watch the next video. Your evolution won't wait, and the world needs your strength in silence.